Hello YouTube friends, today I'm going to show you how I am going to shorten some bamboo circular needles so that I can hopefully take them on the international flight that I'll be having soon and it will pass through security. I'm pretty sure that my metal circular needles wouldn't, so I thought, well, if they were too long, even in wood or plastic, they might be considered a bit dangerous. So, and every country is different. And if these particular circular needles that I'm going to show you how I will shorten do not get through customs, then it won't be a disaster to lose them, because I will be carrying in my luggage my good needles that I love to knit with. I don't mind knitting with bamboo needles, but I don't think I'd like to knit everything with bamboo needles. So here we go. First of all, I did purchase a set of bamboo needles. I'm just trying to raise the camera a little bit here. I'm using a new app for filming, so I'm hoping that this may be a little bit more successful than those cut-off videos where they're not the full screen. So basically, okay, so here's the set of bamboo needles that I bought quite cheaply from Big W, which is an Australian company, and they only cost me $11, which is amazing. So if you're a starter with circular needles, rather than rushing out and buying very expensive ones and then finding out that you don't like using circular knitting needles, this is probably a good way to start. They go all the way from, I think it is 10 millimeters, which is the Australian and the British sizing. I don't know what they would be in American sizing. Sorry about that. All the way down to size 2. So there's 18 sets with 80 centimetre cables, which I'm hoping will be good enough for me. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down a pair or a set of these circular knitting needles. Now, I do tend to use, they're all tangled up, I do tend to use circular needles for everything. Knitting in the straight, we'll just put these over to the side. They've got very, very colourful cables, haven't they? And the thing I notice is that even though the cable's thick in some instances, not so thick in these thin ones that I'm going to chop down, they're quite flexible. I've actually bought sets of circular knitting needles that you can interchange where the cables have been so stiff. Even, you know, pouring boiling water over them has not made a difference. But these are quite soft, and they'd be great for somebody that's learning to knit in the round or knit socks on circular needles. I have in the past used, you know, the set of 4 needles for knitting socks. Anyway, on with this. So basically, turn this around so that you can see these are 2s. So they shouldn't take too long to actually cut down and smooth, so that they're going to be able to be knitted, I don't know, knit with. So I'm just going to take them down to a little way past the actual sizing, and I'm going to use my trusty little plier cutters, which I love. I use these for so many things. I started off using them for jewellery making. That one just went flying across the room. I'm glad there's nobody else in here. They could have been impaled, I think is the word I'm looking for. So, okay, I have them both sizes. They're quite short, so I can't see that taking these on a plane would inflict very much damage on anybody. So let's just try and smooth them down. So basically this is an old filing or emery board that my daughter used to do nails, so she gave these to me. And I use them for so many things. You can see they're pretty well worn. Might have to ask for some more actually. So I'm going to use this to try and do a reasonable size point. A longer point, because a shorter point might make it difficult. Probably could have made these a little bit longer, but you know, we'll just see how they go. So they're quite thin, so they shouldn't take too long. Hope you're having a good day today. I am going to be taking my circular knitting machine and showing a friend how they're used. And I have done a lot of knitting on the circular knitting machine, as you probably heard in my last vlog, as I now know they're called. Okay, so that's fairly long and we haven't lost the actual sizing. So we'll do the other one. I try and turn as I'm rubbing or filing this down so that it, you know, is fairly even, though, you know, it's not going to be perfect, but it'll be good enough to pick up the stitches with your knitting needle and not split them. So that's my aim. Somebody suggested I actually take my metal ones in my bra. I thought, no, I'm not game enough to do that. I really don't want to be losing my beautiful, expensive needles. Let's have a look at this one. That's not too bad. Okay, so we'll just move that out of the way. This is also another emery board. It's got a slightly rougher side, and there's two surfaces there, which will be handy. I've got to keep trying to move my hands into the middle of this video shot, and this is a polishing side. So I'll try and find that this is the roughest. So we'll take it into here. Just give it a bit of a turning as I go to try and even it up. Might just do the tip a little bit, try and round the tip a little bit so that they aren't too sharp. That feels pretty good actually. So then I'll go over to this less coarse part of the emery board and give it a good rub down. I've got to remember where the actual lens of my phone is, because I've got it turned so that it's from the camera position. Yep, that's pretty good. A little bit on the end, and then we'll just polish it off. If you like my videos, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. You can have any comments if you like in my comments. I'd like to read some comments about what you think of my videos and if they're helpful to you. Also, as I am not a very, I can't think of the word. It's quite early in the morning actually. Well, early for me, but so just rub that on the wrong one, of course. That's all right. I do things in bizarre ways at times. I'm getting older and my brain isn't always functioning at a higher level. So we've done this one. Okay, that's a little sharp, so we'll take it over to this side so that you can actually, not forgetting to try and round down the end a little bit, or the point. Okay, onto the other one. That one actually is a little bit longer, so I just realised that I have rubbed away. But you know, I have sizes for knitting needles, so I'm not too worried about that. I think I've actually had another go at this. So we'll just rub that down a little bit more so it's a little bit more longer in the point. So it'll just slide on the yarn a little bit easier. Let's have a look. That's a little bit better. Give that another rub on the slightly rougher on this spongy emery board. I use these emery boards for so many things. You know, even in my journal making, I use the emery boards for roughing up the edges of paper just to make them look a little bit more distressed and older. Yeah, as I was saying, if you'd like to subscribe, that would be brilliant, because I do come up with different ideas or different ways of solving problems that I have with different things, hence this. I cannot see me sitting on a plane for hours and not being able to knit. I will be taking a wooden crochet hook. I'm pretty sure that will get through, just in case they do take these off me, because they are pointed. Not very pointed, but pointed enough to worry security going onto a plane. Okay, let's have a look at these. Okay, that feels quite smooth. That one feels quite smooth too. So they're not terribly long, but I'm pretty sure I could actually knit with them. So we just might move all that out the way. And I'll try not to be clumsy. Sorry about that. Left the screen for a bit. So I have this sock yarn. In my previous video, I was knitting a pair of socks with this sock yarn. It's from Love Crafts and it's called Paint Box, and I absolutely love it for knitting socks. I love the fact that it comes up as a fair isle as you're knitting, so you're not changing your wools all the time. I'll just give you a little sneak peek of the socks that I finished. I'm really happy with them. I'll be taking these to Europe with me, and like I said, this is a yarn from Love Crafts. It's, I think, it's got a lot of wool in it. It's mainly wool. It's just got a little bit of polyamide in it, I guess, to help retain the shape. And they are washable in the washing machine, this particular yarn. And I've even put them in the dryer and they've come out the same size. Okay, let's see how these knit up. So I'm just going to cast on, sorry about that. I'm just going to cast on some of this leftover yarn from Love Crafts. That seems to be casting on too nicely. I won't, you know, knit a whole sock on here at the moment with these little needles. Oops. Okay, let's just cast on. The wool is actually pulling because I have wound it into a cake so that, okay, let's do a couple more. Yeah, it's probably not ideal to have such short needles, but, you know, if it sort of keeps me happy while we're flying and I achieve something at the end, then that's going to be a bonus. Okay, so that seems to be going quite smoothly into the first loop. Did that split it? Let's just take that one off and give it another go. No, it was the way that I put the needle in to the actual yarn. Yeah, but look, I'm not a great fan of bamboo needles. I prefer to use the steel ones, and it's not the point on the needle that's the problem here. The problem is I will have to practice using these shorter needles, I'm sure. But the needles seem to be working as well as bamboo needles do for me. Like I said, I've got to keep that in the middle of the camera. It's something that I will get around with a little bit more practice, and I'm sure that I will be able to knit a sock. I actually always find after I finish knitting a pair of adult socks with this particular, and I keep moving away from the camera, sorry about that, with this particular yarn, oh gosh, I think I have my tension too far up. Let's have another go at this. Honestly, I'm not that great. Look, I even dragged over, and I think this is the problem. I dragged over the caked ball. What I was going to say was that normally after I have finished a pair of adult size socks in the paint box, I have enough normally to knit a pair of toddler or baby socks. So it's a bit of a bonus to be able to get a pair of adult socks and a pair of baby socks out of one ball of yarn. So I love that. And of course you saw that I had a lot of leftover sock wool in my stash, and if you'd watched the previous video when I was using the circular knitting machines, I actually had used the smaller tubes and braided them together with the odd bits and pieces of this particular yarn that I had left, and then sewed it all together and made a really lovely circular mat for in front of our wood fireplace, or combustion stoves, I think we call them. I don't know. Anyway, they're a slow wood fireplace. I can't think of the name at the moment. The fact that I've gotten this far without, having a mental blank is amazing. So, as you can see, they seem to be knitting quite well. So, the more I knit, the more my hands adapt to the fact that they're short. And like I said, you can knit straight or you can knit in the round, and these would be great for a beginner learning circular needles. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that, and they slide quite nicely all the way to the other side and on. So if this works, that is a bonus, isn't it? A bonus that you can take your knitting needles on a plane with you, and if they confiscate them at security, they're a cheap set, so it's not a great loss. It just means that for somebody like me who gets a bit frustrated just sitting on planes, I wouldn't enjoy the journey as much, and I always like to be busy with my hands. And it's not that I'm an anxious flyer, it's just that I don't like sitting and not having something to do with my hands. Okay, so if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And as I said, I often come up with different ideas for different things, so please do subscribe and leave me comments. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye for now.